Hi, and welcome back to Mieto Gaming for yet another day of Raid Shadow Legends. So we have been talking quite a bit about my faction war strategy, um, my roster, what I felt I needed for some of the next steps, as well as some of the characters that I'm most excited about that I've recently obtained or will be obtaining very soon. And so I want to keep that going just with the mindset of future champions. And so my topic for today will be uh, two things: the current fusion and future fusions, as well as the current ongoing event, which is dealing with the Assassin's Creed video game series. And so, what I want to do is kind of focus in on those champs and my plan for those champs. I will say I am going for Naldua, and I pretty much go for every fusion since entering the game. The first fusion for me was Tholin with the dwarves, and I've gone for every single one since then as well. I don't always get the soul, but I do try to always get the champ. And so it's no different this time. I'm going for Naldua. I currently have 70 shards for her, and that is because I came in first for one of the tournaments, and I also came in second for another tournament, which gave me a couple additional shards. But I did finish up the arena, and this will be posting a day or two after uh, I'm recording this, so it will be a, a little bit different from what you might be seeing on your game screen at the moment, as these events might be over. And I'm currently working on Fire Knight. So once I finish Fire Knight, I will have her at 75 shards. My hope is to avoid doing that hero's path um, as much as possible. If there's a soul in there and it's easy to get, I'll go for it. If Solinar is in there, then I might go for him as well. But my hope is to not have to spend too many shards trying to get her fragments from there. And I finished all of these. So I finished Spider. I did not win Spider. I don't even think I came. Oh, okay, fifth. I didn't even think I came into the top 10, to be honest, but I'll take fifth. Um, I did finish the Classic Arena one as well. And then for Champ Chase and Champ Training, I was able to get some additional shards. So here I came in second, and I was able to get these 5 additional shards of Naldua, which I think will be extraordinarily helpful. I'm actually surprised I came in second. I really honestly thought this guy was going to blow by me in the middle of the night while I was sleeping. Didn't happen. Very surprised by that, but I'll take it. I will gladly have those 5 extra shards. And this champ chase, I wasn't pushing to try to win. So this just happens sometimes because I tend to do all of my, I believe I said it in another video as well, but I tend to do all of my progress during these fusions. So I'm saving up my resources, and I am a spender. So I will sometimes buy um, resources and things, but then I still tend to only use them during fusions. So I kind of go all out. So when we had the 2x void shards, I went all out. Used like I had like 70 shards, and I used all of them. And I also used the fragments for Mithrala. And so I'm just using the resources that I have because there's a 2x event, and I want to go for the 2x event. This was sort of an afterthought. It was like, if I did get it, then great. And this, you can't see the top score, but that guy has like 23,000. I think I was nowhere near that. So I obviously don't go as far out as that guy does, but I do kind of just go all out during the fusions to use my resources and see what I can get. Try to grow my account, build my champs, um, develop all my gear, pull my shards if there's a 2x event. If there's not the 2x event, then I'll just pull what I need, and that's it. But if there's a 2x event, I'll go all out. If it's 2x sacred, I don't plan on going all out anymore for 2x sacred, so I'm not gonna pull all my sacred shards. But if it's like an ancient or a void 2x, I might pull like every single ancient or void or whatever the 2x is. I'm probably gonna pull every single last one. Same with primals. If it's a 2x primal, I'm gonna pull every primal, because that's sort of that time to take advantage of it. Assuming, of course, that there's two things happening. I'm getting the 2x and there's a fusion or something happening. Then yes, I'm going all out. So I did come in second there, and then I won this again. Same idea, right? I had energy saved up. Man, I can't even see my score to see. what I won by. But same thing, I honestly thought these guys were going to pass me in the middle, and I am extremely surprised they didn't. But same idea here. You know, I had champs I wanted to train, and so I did. I had a lot of the multi-battle, the 50 multi-battles and 20 multi-battles, and I had energy. So I used it to train my troops up, or my troops, and train up my champs. And so just so happens that I lucked out and I won these tournaments. Doesn't always happen, but it does happen sometimes. And so I'm very excited when I do win some of these, and I get to take home some of those additional shards, which saves me some resources later on in the fusions. So that is my hope, you know, be able to finish Fire Knight, knock out a few of the other events. Man, I'm nowhere near. I'm definitely not winning this one, but there's no shards up for grabs, so that's okay. Um, but you know, finish up the fusion. I'm gonna knock out as many events and tournaments as I can. Similarly, you know, we actually have a gear enhancement event right now, but the same idea. Normally, I would bring this all the way to the end. I'm not right now because we have another gear enhancement event. And similarly, I'm going to want to take advantage of that gear enhancement event. And my silver is a little low. It's only at 21. That's probably enough, honestly, to get me through the next event. But just in case, you know, I want to be sure I make it through the third one. And so I'm not spending all of my silver on this. But normally, you know, what I'll probably do in that one is I'm probably going to push it all the way through to the final prize. This one is so close, like I might end up just pushing. How much more time do I have? 7 hours, so maybe I won't push it. um, but I do have gear that I need to enhance or upgrade, and so it wouldn't be too difficult for me to push for this chicken. Where am I right now? 5,200 and 5,600. That's only about 327. So that's not bad. I may end up just actually grabbing that chicken, just because it's so close, and I do have gear that I want to upgrade and enhance. And I feel like, you know, if I'm able to do that in under a million, then it would be absolutely worth it. I would still have 20 million going into the next one, and I probably have some gear I can sell as well. So I think that would work out pretty well. But that is the plan. I am 100% going for Naldua. These champion training events are much harder for me, actually. The events, the tournaments are much more my speed because I get to book champs and get a ton of points for that. And I always have champs I need to book. I have champs I need to book right now. Unfortunately, when we get into the event version of it, it's all about leveling them up. Now, to be fair, I do have champs I need to level up. I do have champs I want to increase their rank um, for faction wars. So, as discussed in earlier videos, I have 5 more faction crypts I need to finish, and so I have champs in those factions that I want to build up, that I want to push. Right, there's several epics, so I want to push them to 5 star, push them to 40, then push them to 5 star, then push them to 50, then push them to 6 star, then push them to 60. So there's quite a few champs. It's probably 10 to 12 champs that I want to do that for. And so that would be quite a few champion training event points. And I do have the multi battles and the energy to do that. And so that's probably going to be where my focus is. My one question is, do I have the chickens for it? And I don't know that I do. Right? It's only 2 champs that I'd be able to pull a 6 star. I do have 3 of these, so I guess 5 in total. And I may have some 5 star champs ready to go. If I don't, yeah, 1, 2, 3. Oh, maybe not. I tend to hold on to my epics. I try not to use my epics for food unless I already have one that's been +4'd, which I do not have +4 of this guy or this guy. So I probably have no idea why I brought those to 5 star, to be honest with you. That was probably during a champ training event at some point in the past, and I didn't have anything else ready to go, so I just pushed them up. But yeah, normally those 3 would not be 3 that I would push up to 5 stars. But I do push up some of the other champs to 5 stars just to use them um, in order to push another champ to 6 stars. So here's one that I will use to push a champ to 6 stars. So I have 2 of those ready. So really that makes this 14. I could probably push another one up from 4 to 5. So that would push up to 15. That would allow me to do about 6 champs that I could push up to 6 stars. I don't really know if I want to use the feasts for that. And to be honest, I can actually push on my epic champs straight to 6-star with these feasts. I believe I never. I say I never did that. I must have. I'm sure I've used these feasts before, but I can't recall doing that. But I'm pretty sure that's how they work. So I think I could probably grab some of the epics that I want to use, and instead of pushing them to 5-star, I could probably push them straight to 6-star, and then 60 them. So I think that'll be probably a good approach to this champ training event. I think that's kind of what I'm gonna do there. But my plan is to just go all out for Naldua. Now, Basim. Um, I mean I have him. I got him to 100. In fact, I had 3 cards left. I actually flipped this one just because I had 1,000 feathers or whatever the hell this is. So I had 1,100 of them or whatever it was. So I spent it to get this. Will I get enough to get these last 2 flips? I don't know. I did spend gems um, for some flips. You could get like 3 flips for 1,100 gems, and you can also get 2 flips for 900 gems. So I got a couple of those just to kind of go through and get a bunch of the flips. And I also had a ton of these, particularly these 2, and I also had some of these as well that I used. And so I was able to go through and get a ton of souls. I did already upgrade the characters that I got the souls for that I cared most about, and I sold off a lot of the ones that I cared less about. So I have a few mythicals, only one that's actually 5-star. The rest of these are pretty low. But I do have some souls for mythicals if I am to unlock them. See if that happens, as well as some legendary champs. I would love to have Odin. I love Odin's kit. It looks pretty phenomenal. So would love to have an Odin, and I'm ready to go if I get him. What else? I love Cheshire actually, less so than Odin, but I would just love to have Cheshire as well. So I think definitely need a Newt or Nut, however you say his name. Definitely need one of him. There's a few in here that are they worth holding on to? I'm not sure. Is Sato any good? I couldn't tell you. What about Iron Brago? I couldn't tell you. He looks like an Ogren, so I probably need him, even if he's not great. I need Ogren champs, so probably use him regardless. Um, but yeah, same with Korugar. I think he looks Ogren. So there's definitely a few I can use. Actually, this guy Iron Brago might be an Orc, not an Ogren, but Korugar definitely looks Ogren. So some I could use. So I'm holding on to most of those. I pretty much mostly just sell like the rares and like the I'm not sure if I need that for Cold Hearts. I could probably sell it, but that's usually what I sell. I do think I'm going to need to hold on to some of these to sell for like the Ramantu and the Marius, or I think it's the Ramantu mission actually, not Marius. I haven't gotten that far in those missions, so I haven't needed to do that yet. But I did get some pretty good souls, and just to kind of walk through the 2 that I cared most about. So I already had his. I had his before I even had the champ. But Ashnar, I was able to get a 5-star soul for him, which is huge. I'm a little confused by this blessing. I was looking through the blessings. I feel like there's some other ones that might be better, but this is what I saw, and I believe it was Hell Hades. I saw this, and so I was like, okay, I'll just take his word for it. They know better than I do, so I'll take their word for it. But I was looking through some other blessings, and I felt like, man, there's some out there that I would really kind of like to have, but okay. Like just some that increases the damage of his HP burns, and they do like some other things and stuff. But okay, I'll take that. And then I also got one for Calamitous. I believe I actually had a 1 or 2-star soul for him previously, but then I got the 5-star, which is way better. Similarly confused, well, less so confused by this, but I don't know how often he has buffs on him, so I was a little iffy on this one. But for now, I'm going to go with the recommended blessings, and then as I use the champ more, I'm going to see the situations I tend to have him in. Is he often buffed? I do get some unkillables on him, and I use the primary form more often than the secondary form, so maybe that's why. No, I don't really see any buffs here. Yeah, so I don't know who I'm supposed to be getting buffs from. So I'm not entirely sure just for me. I'm sure for everyone else, they probably have this guy buffed like crazy every time they use him. For me, I'm not sure I have him buffed that often. So I'm not sure if this will be actually be that useful for me. But just for the time being, for the initial blessing, I went with what I found on. I believe that's what I found on Hell Hades. Maybe I misread it or misunderstood what I was looking at. But that is the game plan there. So I did go out and get busing. And I initially wasn't even going to be spending gems and anything for him because, to be honest, I'm not a huge fan of some of these Assassin's Creed champs. However, after pulling all my souls, I was really close, and I just felt like, okay, I'm gonna purchase a few flips with my gems. So I did do that, and that puts me in a unique situation here. Well, not unique, but it puts me in a situation here where I need to think about, um, do I want to go for the rest of the assassins? I was very on the fence about it, but now I'm wondering because I have Ezio, I have Basim now. I'm not going to unlock him until probably the next champion chase or something along those lines. I do have him. Cassandra as well. I have the three of them ready to go or unlocked on my roster. So that just leaves two left, right? That leaves Edward, who has great reviews. I looked through his kit. I wasn't all that blown away by him, but it's fine, right? I think all of them have fine kits, but they're just not that crazy to me. And so same with Bayak, who everyone thinks is like the greatest thing since sliced bread. But I just felt like okay, like they're fine. Like I like their kits. I like all of their kits, but they're not crazy to me. In fact, I went for Bayak during the he had a 10x. It was a 2x voids, 10x shot for Bayak. During that, and I pulled Cecilia, and I gotta be honest, even though this guy is limited time only, if I had to choose one and I could only have one, I'm taking Cecilia a million times out of a million. So, like, how far I'm going to push for these champs, I'm not entirely sure. There's a few things coming down the pipelines. I just mentioned I do all of the fusions. You never know. Even if one of them turns out not to be the greatest champ ever, you never know when they'll get buffed or who might get released in the future that pairs well with them. So like, Wixwell, for example, has been around for I assume he's been around for a while. Nobody knew Titus was going to come into the game, but once Titus did, Wixwell was already used. I hear he was already a great champ, but now he's just even better because you can pair him with Titus. So when you think about stuff like that, you never know when these fusions will become even more useful than they are. Same with these events like Bayak and Kenway and everyone. Um, so I do tend to push the fusions. But with March coming up, and with that being the anniversary, and the anniversary fusion is apparently being amazing, this will be my first year doing that, so I can't speak on past years, although I do know from what I've seen, with Armand's being one of the anniversary fusions, it seems like they are, and I believe Wixwell was as well a few years prior to Armand's. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe they were both anniversary fusions. So with that in mind, they tend to be great. I definitely want to go for that. But even more than that, the Argonites are going to release. I don't know how many events there will be next month. Um, but assuming the Argonites are going to be released, there's probably going to be various ways to get the Argonites. And so I have to really plan this out and think about, okay, do I want to go for, you know, the final two Assassin's Creed characters? Um, or do I maybe want to save my resources and push really hard next month when the Argonites release? And as you can tell from my videos, I love faction wars. And so once their faction crypt opens, I'm gonna want to try to go for it, right? Even though by then hopefully I'll already have Lydia. That's the plan. Get Lydia before their faction crypt opens. But even so, I'm still gonna want to do their faction crypt, right? I'm gonna want to do it. I'm gonna want to complete it. And so I am hopeful that I'll at least get a decent amount of Argonites next month when they release. I don't know how we will get them. I'm sure there's going to be a bunch of epics and rares. I don't know how many legendaries will even be around. There might only be two or three in total. But I assume the fusion next month will be an Argonite. That's my assumption. I'm assuming because it's going to be an anniversary, fusion is going to be a phenomenal Argonite, and so that's going to be double the reason to get them. This Argonite will be great in Faction Wars, and they will also likely be great in other content because they're going to be a an anniversary fusion, and so that's kind of where I'm headed right now. Right, and I definitely want to go all out for the Argonites and for a lot of the anniversary releases. I think it's going to be double good because it's going to be from a faction that we have nothing in right now. And so I will, maybe I'll be able to claim my faction is just as strong as some other factions out there, which is crazy for someone who's fairly new to the game, right? But this is going to be a new faction, so I do want to go all out on it, try to get what I can in the faction, and also just any of the anniversary champs in general. I think it's going to be a great month, but I also think there's going to be a ton going on. And so it just seems like really bad timing for the assassins. And this fragment summon is just doesn't. But right now, they do have this lordly summon pool, and I was looking at this and wondering if is this where I go for Edward Kenway? Do I just go for him here? Um, and to be honest, because I actually kind of like these summon pools, and I have no problem getting sort of some of these crystal offers, going for 10 pulls, and then just get going for a 10 pull and seeing what I get. A lot of times with that 10 pull, you usually end up with a legendary. Not every time, but I usually end up with a legendary from it. Um, eh, but in this case, just looking at the legendaries available, I don't know if it's worth it for me. So I already have four of these. When we look at the ones down here, I have Manaya, I have Stultus, I have Timid, I have um, Sigmund. I have all four of those. I don't have the other four down here, but I don't really care who have them, right? Like they're not a high priority for me. So I'm not too sure about this entire pool down here. Now these two, I would gladly take either one of these, right? Um, I would grab Edward because he's time limited. I think that would be nice. I'd like to have some of the time limited champs. Um, I would also like to grab him because he is the faction leader. Um, he does have several the Unity champ, I guess is what they're called. He does have several things that will come in handy for the Bannerlord faction overall. And so, of course, and right now I only have the one for, I believe his name is Tayak for Lizardman. That's the only Unity champ I have. I pulled him from a similar thing, right? It's a Lizardman pool, and I pulled him out of that, so that was great. Um, but it doesn't always work out, right? They had one for Fina. Um, I did not get her. I believe she's in the high elves. I would have loved to have her. Couldn't get her. So it doesn't always work out. And so now I'm looking at this pool and I'm like, I wouldn't want any of these legendaries here. And I also wouldn't want any of these epics. I have all of the epics for Bannerlords. My dupe chamber or whatever it's called, faction guardians is full at the epic level. And so it's not, I'm not going to drop $100 to get the faction guardian, at the legendary line. That doesn't make any sense. I'm not dropping $100 for that, right? If I was to do it, it would be to get a new champ that I actually want. So it'd be one of these two, and there's a 2% chance of getting one of them. I just don't think that's worth it. So I don't know that I'm going to make this pull, which leaves getting Edward Fenway some other way, whatever, if he even has a guaranteed way of getting him. So I'm kind of leaning towards not going for the final two assassins. Now, don't hold me to that. It's not a guaranteed fact that I won't go for them because I don't know what Kenway's guaranteed event would be, right? Maybe it's something that isn't too difficult and would allow me to grow my account in the way I want to grow it. Um, for an example, with this deck of fate for Basim, I wanted to get souls. I needed souls, so I was 100% fine pulling all my souls, right? Because I was waiting for an opportunity to do that. So that worked out very well for me to get him, even if I'm not too concerned with getting Basim. It was a great opportunity for me to do what I did want to do, pull for souls, and then get him as an extra bonus on top of that. And so I went for him. I don't know what Edwards' uh, event will be, but if it's something like a Titan event, and we have to go through all these hoops, jump through all these hoops to unlock him, I don't know that that's worth it, to be honest. And I'm already assuming Bayak is going to be in a um, hero's path. And if it's anything like Leo's path, I don't think that's going to be worth it. I went for Leo because I love TMNT. I grew up watching it, and I'm just a huge fan of them in general. I went for Shredder too. I got him. I won some event to get him. Similar to like the fragments I'm getting for Naldua from winning some tournaments. I did that for Shredder. I wanted Shredder though. Like I actually went for that win. That was my goal, was to win him again because he's TMNT and I actually care about TMNT. I care a little bit less about Assassin's Creed. I did enjoy the first game. Um, it kind of threw me off when suddenly we were transported to the future, and I'm like, what the hell? So that kind of threw me off, and I didn't really get into many of the games after that. I did have Black Flag. I enjoyed the bit that I did play, but I just never truly got into it after the first game. I actually had an ex; she loved it, so she used to play it. So I do actually have a lot of the Assassin's Creed games on my Xbox because she used to play, but I never really played them very much, right? And that's how I know Cassandra because she actually used Cassandra in one of the games. But it was never really for me, so I'm not huge into the game. I would like to get them because they're time limited, but at the same time, I'm not blown away by their kits. None of them are Cecilia level to me. So, as much as people harp on their kits and say like Bayek as an example is great, you know, Cecilia I would have went all out for. A couple other characters I would go all out for. Actually, really think there's a member of the Ogren tribe I was pretty impressed with. It's been a while since I looked at his kit. See if anything kind of stands out to me here. But I do remember when this guy launched, I really wanted him, like when he was released. But I don't recall why. This was probably why. Whenever this champion places a debuff on an enemy, it deals damage equal to 1% of their max HP for each debuff they are currently under. And this could stack up to 10%. So just from dropping debuffs on a chance, which he on a champ on an opponent, you knock away 10% of the enemy max HP, which is huge. 10% of their max HP is gone. That is huge. And so looking at that, and that doesn't even count like the actual damage that you did from the attack. So then you add that on top. But he drops a ton of debuffs, and there's other. Well, this one is just dropping buffs, but these are various debuffs here. You have decreased defense, weaken, decreased accuracy, decreased resistance. That's four possible debuffs on this one hit. And then there's a true fear on this hit. So whenever you do one of these, you have a chance proc this um, passive. And to me, it just seems like you can stack debuffs on the enemy very quick. And on top of that, this is an AoE. So, and I'm making an assumption here on how this works. I don't have this champion, so I could be incorrect on how this works. But whenever this champion places a debuff on an enemy, it deals damage to 1% of the max HP. And it does say occurs once per skill. Once per target. So it should be fine because it's once per target. And this is an AoE. So it's not once per attack or once per turn. Yeah, it's not like once per turn or anything like that. It's once per target. So if my understanding of this is correct, this could knock away 10% of every enemy's HP that's currently out there that's under 10 debuffs. Well, under any debuffs really, but up to 10%. So up to 10 debuffs. And to me, this was phenomenal, right? And so this kit to me is something that I really love. I'm like, okay, that's gonna go bonkers on a boss as well as the boss's minions. So you do this and you're knocking away 10% of the boss's health, but also 10% of the minions' health, assuming the minions also have 10 debuffs. or maybe in Hydra where you have multiple heads, you get them under enough debuffs, you're knocking down 10% of each of their HP. And so to me, this just seems, you know, very OP passive skill. And so this was another one that was on my list along with Cecilia for most wanted legendaries. And as a bonus, he's an Ogre tribe, which I could use additional champs in. So something like that, that's the level of kit where I'm like, okay, I need that in my roster. And I don't really see that on any of these champs. Not that their kits are bad. They all look fine, right? Like I think they all have good kits, but none of them are just like, oh my gosh, I need that. At least I haven't seen it. I could be just misunderstanding these. Um, but yeah, there was nothing that really blew me away. And so that's kind of my overall, that's kind of my plan going forward and who I'm targeting. So again, I've probably been doing this video for quite some time. Yeah, 30 minutes. But just kind of reiterate, I am going for Naldua. I tend to go for all of the fusions. I'm pretty far along with her. I should have 75 shards here, or fragments. Shards is a Star Wars Galaxy of Hero terminology for it, but 75 fragments for her after this Fire Night tournament event. And my hope is to unlock her without needing to dive into the hero's path. Although, depending on what's actually in those heroes path, I may end up diving into it slightly anyways. Um, but we'll see. We'll kind of see what's in there. My hope is I don't need to do so. As far as the assassins, I'm very iffy on them. It's not that it's not a definite no, but I'm very iffy on them. I don't know that it will be worth the effort to get the last two. Um, I got three of the five already, and you also have the event boss who's going, but he's going to be around forever, so you can pull him whenever. I'm less concerned about him. But there's two left, and I really feel like, well, I have three of the five. I might as well grab the other two. But just thinking about it, I really, with what's coming up in March, given that it's the anniversary, but also they're releasing a brand new faction, and there's going to be, I don't know how many champs it's going to release as part of that. There's going to be rares, there's going to be epics. I don't know how I get any of them, right? But I do want to get them. I want to start building out this faction so that I'm able to start attacking their faction crypt. Just for fun, because I enjoy faction wars. So I do want to start doing that. And so that's sort of a higher, much, much, much higher priority, especially given the fact that the fusions and chance released during anniversary month tend to be better than many others. Like that's just my priority. And so the assassins may get left behind. Again, don't hold me to that. I don't know what the events will end up being. I don't know how difficult the events will end up being. I don't know if, similar to Basim, it will necessitate that I do something that I want to do anyways. This was just getting Basim really was just an excuse for me to pull my soul, like to go for souls. It was more an excuse for me to do the thing I wanted to do anyways, and it got a few great souls out of it, particularly Ashnar and Calamitous. So very very excited about those two souls. But I think in general, if the events just aren't that appealing or just seem too difficult or necessitate too many of my resources, like if this is like Leo and it's like, yeah, you need to use up all 27 sacreds. Well, I'm not getting Bayak. I can tell you that, right? This is going to be more focused on the Argonites and some of the events coming down the pipeline in March. And so that's my plan for the foreseeable future as far as which champs I'm prioritizing with some of the new releases as well as the releases coming up within the next month. And I'm hoping, that this comes to fruition, that I'm able to get Naldua, that I'm able to get a lot of the champs next month that release with the Argonites as well as the fusion. And who knows? I may also be able to get the assassins just based on their events. It's maybe their events will have something to do with the fusion next month. If the hero's path happens at the same time as next month's fusion, and there's fragments for that fusion or whatever is going to be needed. I don't think it's going to be a fragment based fusion. I think it's going to probably be a mixed fusion or something. But if there's the rare champions that we need, or whatever the points that we'll need are in that hero's path, I may have to go for that hero's path anyway. So maybe I just grab Bayek along the way. So we'll see. We'll see how it all unfolds. But that is currently my plan for the current champs and the upcoming champs. Thanks again for watching Miano Gaming. Let me know down below your plan. Are you going for Naldua? Do you plan on going all out next month for the Argonites or just for the anniversary fusion? Are you planning on going for the assassins? Do you already have them? Are you pulling the Lordly Summon pool? Let me know in the comments below. All right, take care.